The Middle East is a land marked by history, but also by conflicts. Among these, the tension between Israel and Lebanon occupies a special place. Rooted in a tumultuous past, it is resurfacing today with a worrying intensity. To understand current events, a look back at the roots of this enmity is necessary. Decades of wars, attacks, and failed negotiations have shaped relations between these two neighbors. The creation of Israel in 1948, perceived as an injustice by many in the Arab world, engendered a deep resentment. Lebanon, a host country for many Palestinian refugees, found itself on the front line facing the Hebrew state. The years that followed were marked by recurring clashes. The invasion of Lebanon by Israel in 1982, the rise of Hezbollah, supported by Iran, accentuated the divisions. Despite a ceasefire in 2006, mistrust and hatred have persisted, fueling an explosive climate. Today, the situation is once again critical. Exchanges of fire, provocations on both sides revive the specter of war. The danger is very real, and the potential consequences, disastrous. The Israeli-Lebanese conflict cannot be reduced to a duel between two states. It is a complex chessboard where each actor plays a crucial role with its own interests and alliances. Israel, the region's military power, sees itself as a bulwark against terrorism and extremism. Hezbollah, a Lebanese Shiite movement, poses as a defender of the oppressed in the face of Israeli imperialism. Iran, a Shiite regional power, financially and militarily supports Hezbollah in a logic of confrontation with the West and its allies. The Lebanese government, for its part, finds itself in a delicate position, torn between its desire to maintain peace and its obligations to Hezbollah. Deeply rooted in the country's political and social landscape, it is walking a tightrope. In recent months, the border between Israel and Lebanon has become a powder keg. Incidents, seemingly minor, were enough to ignite the situation. Rocket fire, attributed to Palestinian groups present in Lebanon, provoked Israeli reprisals. Hezbollah, while not claiming responsibility for the fire, has promised a response to any attack on its positions. The Israeli army, for its part, has strengthened its military presence along the border, ready to respond to any provocation. This escalation is all the more worrying as it comes against the backdrop of an explosive regional context. The Palestinian question, still unresolved, the chaos that reigns in Syria, the rivalry between Iran and Saudi Arabia, all contribute to fueling tensions. Section 4. The Iranian Shadow. A proxy war. Iran plays a central role in the Israeli-Lebanese conflict. A staunch ally of Hezbollah, Tehran provides it with arms, funding, and logistical support. This support allows the Shiite movement to maintain a considerable military force, considered a serious threat by Israel. Some analysts see the current conflict as a proxy war between Iran and Israel. Tehran, weakened by economic sanctions, is said to be using Hezbollah to strike at the Hebrew state without risking a direct confrontation. Israel, for its part, does not hesitate to target Iranian interests in the region, particularly in Syria, in order to limit Tehran's influence. This strategy, while aimed at deterring Iran, carries the risk of uncontrollable escalation. Section 5. Daily life shattered. Consequences for civilians. It is civilians, on both sides of the border, who pay the heavy price of this endless conflict. In Lebanon, the population, already suffering from an unprecedented economic crisis, lives in fear of bombing. Infrastructure, already fragile, is being put to the test. In Israel, rocket fire is causing panic in the northern cities. Residents live to the rhythm of sirens, forced to take refuge in shelters. The economy, especially tourism, suffers from this chronic instability. Beyond the human losses and material destruction, this conflict leaves deep scars on society. Fear, hatred, the desire for revenge poison relations between communities, making peace even more illusory. Section 6. The international community calls for reason. Faced with this dangerous escalation, the international community is calling for restraint and dialogue. The United Nations, the European Union, the United States all agree on the need to avoid another war. Diplomatic efforts are underway to calm things down and find a peaceful solution. Egypt, in particular, plays a traditional mediating role between Israel and Hezbollah. However, obstacles to a lasting solution remain numerous. Mistrust is deep, interests divergent, positions often entrenched. The solution can only be political, involving direct dialogue between the belligerents, however difficult it may be. Section 7. De-escalation or conflagration, the uncertain future. The future of the Israeli-Lebanese conflict is uncertain. Two scenarios are possible: de-escalation or widespread conflagration. The first scenario, the most optimistic, would see tensions gradually ease. A ceasefire, negotiated through third countries, would make it possible to freeze the situation. Long and difficult negotiations could then begin to find a solution to the disputes between the two camps. The second scenario, more pessimistic, would see the situation degenerate into open conflict. A major incident, an uncontrolled provocation, and the region would ignite. The consequences would then be catastrophic, not only for Israel and Lebanon, but for the entire Middle East. Only reason, wisdom, and political courage will be able to avoid the worst and open the way to lasting peace. History teaches us that hatred and violence are never solutions. It is time to explore other avenues, those of dialogue, mutual understanding, and respect.